Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. So, groceries are super expensive. Nobody's got time for cooking. The holidays are coming up, and I've been playing around with recipes. Well, almost all of my recipes are super easy, super fast, and super inexpensive. Today we're making meatloaf, but we're not making it with meat. We're going to use an ingredient that a lot of vegans use when they are replacing a ground meat in a recipe. And what we're going to be using is textured vegetable protein, TVP for short. TVP is basically defatted soybean. It's a single ingredient. It has been processed in order to be defatted, but it's a single ingredient. And a quarter cup of this has 4 grams of fiber and 12 grams of protein, for those of you who care. But this is one of those ingredients that you can use if you do still eat meat. You can use this to extend your ground beef. But for those of you who can't afford it, don't want to eat it for whatever reason, this is an excellent thing to have in your pantry. It lasts forever. I buy mine at the bulk store at Bulk Barn here in Canada, and it's super cheap. It was $1.80 a gram, I think it was. I can't remember. I bought a big bag today, almost half a pound, and it was super cheap. I'll put the receipt on the screen. But it's something I always have in my pantry. I use it to make bolognese sauce. I use it for tacos. I use it for meatloaf. We're going to make the recipe that I've been playing around with. It's one that I made the other day, and both Keaton and I absolutely loved it. So I have to share it with you. Here are our ingredients. We're going to need a flax egg. So for that, I'm using ground flax. I keep a big bag in the freezer and just pull out enough in a jar to keep in my fridge. And then we are using textured vegetable protein instead of ground meat. And then you want a spice blend of choice. I think I'm going to try this brown sugar and bourbon spice. I haven't tried it before, just bought it. But you could also use garlic and herb, Mrs. Dash, whatever combination of seasonings you want, or spice blend. Then we are going to make things very simple. So we are using stuffing mix. This is the no-name brand from Superstore. It is accidentally vegan. We're using 1 cube of bouillon, and then some onion flakes, minced onion, some Worcestershire sauce, ketchup, your choice of barbecue sauce, and a little bit of spray for the pan. The first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 375. All right, and while we're at it, just you can take a loaf pan, you can take a casserole dish like this, and just give it a spray. I've got my little oil sprayer here. You can also line this with parchment paper if you're going to be lifting it out and you want an easy way to do that. Whatever makes sense to you. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so now our pan is ready. So the first thing we have to do is get our flax egg made. And a flax egg is replacing an actual egg as a binder in there. And it's a great way to add a little bit of good omegas into your diet. It's good, it's high in fiber, and it's a great replacement in baking for anything or in cooking for anything that needs an egg to bind. So I'm going to, what the ratio is 1 tablespoon for each egg, 1 tablespoon of ground flax, and 3 tablespoons of water. I always use warm water because that gets it starting to gel faster, and that's what's going to happen. It's just going to gel. There. So we're going to set that aside and let it do its thing. The next thing we're going to do is hydrate our TVP. TVP is dried, and so obviously we need to hydrate it. And the ratio that we're going to use is going to be 2 cups of TVP to just under 2 cups of water. But I'll show you what I mean in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the 2 cups into a fairly shallow bowl, but big enough that you can pour water in and put a lid on. And just to show you, these are crumbles. And so when these hydrate, they look exactly like cooked ground beef. Okay, so we've got 2 cups in there. And now, because TVP, just like raw meat, doesn't have any flavor, we're going to add a little bit of flavor. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of this Worcester sauce, Worcester, whatever, however you say it. You do you. And I'm going to add in a little bit of ketchup. You could also use tomato paste. Let's just add a little umami to it so that the liquid has a little bit of flavor. I am also adding in, going to crumble in 1 bouillon cube. And this is beef bouillon, but it doesn't have any actual meat in it, any animal in it. And so I'm just going to crumble this in there. Now, normally if you were doing a ratio with bouillon, it'd be 1 of those cubes to 1 cup of water. But we're going to add some seasoning, and the seasoning I'm going to add has salt in it, so I don't want to over salt it. So let's give that a stir. And what you basically want to do is cover this. Have yourself a plate ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover this with the broth mixture. And that's why I like to use hottish, warm water, because it dissolves the bouillon cube a lot faster, and it will help this actually hydrate faster. And so we're going to pour this in. So we want it to just cover the top of the TVP. It's already starting to hydrate. And now I'm going to put this plate on there, and I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to leave the rest of the bouillon in case we need to add a little bit extra moisture in to the recipe. So while that's hydrating, let's just put the rest of get the rest of our ingredients into the bowl. Now we're going to use stuffing mix. This is super fast. If you need a main dish for a family gathering, just a dinner, a regular weeknight dinner, this is the easiest, fastest way. You don't have to defrost anything. You don't have to go to the store. All of these are shelf stable or fridge stable ingredients. Super easy. And you don't have to pull out a bunch of different ingredients. And that's why we're using seasoned stuffing mix. Now, you could also use seasoned croutons and just crush those up. So much easier than getting out all the spices and breadcrumbs and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get about a cup of this. So that is actually about half of the package. So I can save the other half for the next recipe. Next time I make it. First time I made this recipe, I used the whole package of stuffing, and it was, well, it was still delicious, obviously, but it was a little soft. And so this time we're not going to do that. So I'm going to put those in here. I'm going to kind of break up some of the bigger bits. Smells good because it's got all the spices. All right, so we've got half a package of stuffing mix. Next, we're going to put in, you could, again, if you have time and want to do it, you could saute onions first on your stove. But we don't got time for that. We're making something fast. So I'm going to add in a tablespoon of this minced onion. And then I'm going to add in my spice mix. Smells so good. Yeah. Brown sugar and bourbon. Who knew? And I'm going to add in a tablespoon because it's going to be for the whole thing. And that TVP is going to puff up to about 4 cups when it's done. So I'm going to add a tablespoon. We can always add more after we've mixed it all together. And the nice thing about this is once you've got it all mixed together before you bake it, you can taste it because there ain't no raw meat in there. All right. So that's ready. And now all we have to do is wait for this to hydrate. So I'm going to leave it about 5 minutes and I'll be right back. All right, so I've left this. I added a bit more water than I would normally if I was going to fry it up for like tacos or something like that, or I would let it sit longer. But it has absorbed the water. It's still quite moist, but it's absorbed the water, and you can see how it's fluffed up, and you can taste it. It's got nice chew. It's got a little bit of flavor from what we added in there, that bouillon and ketchup and Worcester sauce. Okay, so we've got our dried stuff in here. We're going to add this in. Now I'm going to mix this up just first, and then I'm going to add in that flax egg, and that will help it get a little firmer when it's baking. The excess moisture in the TVP will hydrate the breadcrumbs in the stuffing mix. Let's just taste it. It's good. I don't think it needs any more spice. I don't think it needs salt, that's for sure. If you're using a spice blend that doesn't have salt, you want to taste and add salt. I'm going to add some pepper. And now I'm going to add the flax egg. And it will have basically congealed and gotten jelly-like. And very much the same texture as an egg. And it does the same thing. All right. And now all we have to do is put it into our pan. It's that easy. Your kids can make this. Your grandkids can make this. There's no raw meat, so you don't have to worry about any of that. You can taste it, like I said, to figure out if it's got the right spices. So this would make one big sort of loaf pan, or this is what, about a 5 by 8-ish baking dish. Now just press it in here, because we're going to top it with our little glaze, super simple glaze. Seriously, you could have this in the oven half-hour tops. It's that easy. Now for our glaze, we're going to just do half barbecue sauce, half ketchup. It's as simple as that. A lot of recipes for the toppings for meatloaf call for brown sugar and such. Let's face it, both of these have a lot of sugar in them already, so we don't need to do that. And I'm going to use this measuring cup because who wants to dirty something else? Okay, so we're going to use about 1/4 of a cup of each. I like a lot of glaze on my loaf, so. Oh, onion and whiskey, and that one was bourbon and brown sugar. No whiskey actually in here, but this is a pretty tasty barbecue sauce, but it is quite sweet. Okay, awesome. And this also will have a lot of salt in it as well, so we don't need to do that either. But you do yours to taste. And now we're just going to pour it on here and spread her out. The nice thing about this recipe is it doesn't taste like it didn't take you a bunch of time. It's delicious. You could double the recipe if you were feeding, you know, a bigger group, but this fed Keaton and I for multiple dinners. So this is just one of those super easy and delicious meals that doesn't cost very much at all. Because again, TVP is super cheap, especially if you buy it in bulk. There are brands like Bob's Red Mill that you can buy in bags in your regular grocery store. I would recommend, if you can find it, if you have a bulk store near you and you can find it in there, textured vegetable protein, TVP, it's so much cheaper to do that. There you go. Once it's cooked, you will never know that there isn't ground beef in here. Well, you'll know, but who you serve it to won't. And now, could you do more here? Absolutely. Well, let me put it in the oven first. And 10, 20, 30. So about quarter after, I'm going to take that out. Now, could you do more? Could you add additional ingredients in there? Absolutely. You could saute onions, carrots. You could grate carrots and put them in there. You could put peas in there. You could do all sorts of stuff to make it more healthy. But it's not unhealthy, right? We haven't used a bunch of oil. We have used, the sauces. But the stuffing is just bread and spices. We used onion flakes, and we used the TVP, which is, like we said earlier, just defatted soybean. And so high in protein and actually a source of fiber. This is just a basic recipe that is cheap. Will give you a good hearty dinner with good protein and fiber in it that you can feed your family for very cheap. We want that sauce to get a little caramelized in there, so 35 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven, at 375. Okay, I would normally have vegetables with this, but didn't make any. So here is the meatloaf. And I made some mashed potatoes in my Instant Pot really quick, just because meatloaf deserves mashed potatoes. All right, so let's give this a try. I've let it cool so that it's not going to burn my mouth. It's so tasty. I think the stuffing is such a simple way to, make this. If you like it a little bit more chewy, add less stuffing, less breadcrumbs, less croutons, whatever you're going to use. Everybody will love this. Everybody who likes meatloaf will love this. You could use this recipe to make meatballs if you want. So I'm going to go enjoy this. Let me know if you use TVP. Let me know what kind of recipes you use it for. Let me know if you'd like more recipes like this, more videos like this where I make inexpensive recipes. I have a dessert recipe that I want to make for you guys that I think you will love, that is also super fast, inexpensive, and delicious. Because those are the three criteria for recipes. For me, anyways, is that they are fast, they're delicious, and they are inexpensive. And ain't nobody got time for hours and hours in the kitchen, usually. The kitchen is my happy place. I actually do love to spend hours and hours in the kitchen, but not on a weekday. And so this is a great meal prep. It'll last in your fridge about 5 days, if it lasts in your fridge for 5 days, because it's delicious. I'm probably going to give half of that to Keaton because, I'm a mom and I love to feed my kid, and he loves this. Okay, guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, eat good food, be kind, including to yourself. I love you, and I'll see you next time.